Okay, this is a quick overview of the IGCSE higher tier exam. Obviously we're going to focus on the mock exam that you've just done, and we're just going to talk through the skills that you need, and each one of these things is accompanied by a specific tutorial for each question to talk you through what you should have done so you can have a go at it again. Okay, just looking at the front of the exam, some really basic stuff that you need to know. You must read this. Even if you're talked through it, you must pay attention to it. This is 2 hours long. In this paper, this particular one, there are 4 questions. That is not guaranteed in the real thing that you're going to do. We do not know how many questions there are going to be. It then tells you, and this is really important, answer all questions from section A and only 1 from section B. The good news is if you do all of them from section B, the examiners have to mark them, but of course if you're writing 3 questions in an hour, you're only writing for 20 minutes on each instead of an hour, and it makes a massive difference. Okay, so section A is your reading section. Answer all questions, spend about 1 hour in a section. It will say read the passage and answer the questions which follow. I would ignore that to start with, and I would read the questions first. Here they are, and then go back and scan the passage. And the reason I would do that is because one of them, at least, is probably going to ask you, like this, focus on lines 1 to 24, and it will then say, how does the writer suggest Abdul and his family are in danger? That's only based on this opening section of the text here. And that is an example of an inference question. When it says, how does the writer suggest that Abdul and his family are in danger? It's easy, because you've been given the answer. They're in danger. All you need to do is find the evidence that they're in danger and explain why you know that. For example, and we'll go through this in more detail in another tutorial, somebody's been grievously burned. Well, it shows it's a violent place. Okay, question 2, what do you learn about Abdul from the whole passage? This is inference again. What do you learn about him? Simple inference. Find things about him, explain them in detail. It's stuff like here, he had deep-set eyes and sunken cheeks, a body hunched and worry. He's really run down, he's not very healthy, he's been working very hard all his life, and so on. If you just comment on what it is, for example, if you put his deep-set eyes shows he's tired, that's going to be low band 2. If you start saying, this shows how hard he works to keep his family alive and things like that, that is a much better answer. So you need to go above and beyond what's literal. Question 3 is the hardest one. That is examine how the writer presents. That means it's your language question. So again, it's giving you the answer, poverty. You've got to look at where the poverty is, how you know it's poverty, and how it's presented. So in this case, it's stuff like metaphors, similes, repetition, and so on. And that is section A, 25 marks. With that, what I would suggest is, you've got an hour on that section, you've got 25 marks. If you assume it's going to take you 10 minutes to read the text and find your quotes, you've got 50 minutes, so roughly there, and it's always worthwhile computing this at the start, that should take you 10 minutes. That's 20. That's 20. If you're saying you're going to write for 20 minutes, you're going to write at least 3/4 of a page on that question. Okay, section B. Answer 1 question from this section, and look, spend about an hour on it. You should be writing for an hour. Obviously, spend time thinking about the question and planning your answer within that time. You should not be producing 1 page of A4 here. This should be a couple of sides, because 10 minutes planning and checking and so on, 25 marks, that should be roughly like 50 minutes work. So you should be writing a couple of sides there, I would suggest. In this case, you're either going to describe. This is a discussion question. To what extent does the place in which you grow up shape the person you become? That is the same skills as you've done in your coursework. Bring up issues, bring up both sides of the argument and explain them. And of course the last one, write a story. And you've got the keyword of obsession. It is very, very general, and you should be good at these. Pick the one that you think you can write most about and write the most effectively about. Notice with this, paragraphing is mentioned. It doesn't mention it, but you are tested on spelling, punctuation and grammar in section B. You must check them, right? It also looks there that very good English, organise information carefully, use specialist vocabulary appropriate. Basically, do the best you can, check it and make it accurate.